This should not be happening. The NBA right now is more advanced than it has ever been. Defenses are smarter, schemes are deeper. Every team has multiple elite defenders who can switch, rotate, recover. Everything is optimized, and yet none of it seems to matter. Because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is walking into playoff games in 2026 and scoring like the defense does not exist. Not struggling, not forcing it, controlling it. Night after night, possession after possession, he is getting to his spots. Same rhythm, same pace, same result. And here's the part that breaks the logic. He is not doing it with explosive speed. He is not doing it with insane three-point volume. He is not even overpowering defenders physically. So what exactly are we watching? Because if the modern NBA defense cannot stop this, then something deeper is happening. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So the real question is simple. What did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just figure out? And why does it feel like the entire league is already too late to respond? Because when you actually look at the numbers, this stops looking like a hot streak almost immediately. In the 2026 playoffs, Shai is putting up over 30 points per game on elite efficiency. Not average efficiency, not barely sustainable, elite. And it is not coming in bursts. It is consistent. Every quarter, every situation, against every type of defense. Take a look at what happened against the Dallas Mavericks. They tried length, they tried switching. They even threw multiple bodies at him early to disrupt rhythm. Did not matter. He slowed the game down, waited, read the help, and then attacked exactly where the defense broke. It looked controlled, almost predictable, but predictable in the worst way for the defense because they knew what was coming and still could not stop it. Then against the Denver Nuggets, a completely different system, more disciplined, better rotations, a team built around structure with Nikola Jokic anchoring everything. Same result, not chaos, not forced shots, control. Shai is not just scoring, he is deciding how each possession ends, and that is a different level of dominance. Because most stars react to the defense. They see coverage, then they make a move. Shai is flipping that. He makes the first move mentally, the defense reacts to him, and by the time they realize what is happening, they are already a step behind. This is where people start saying maybe it is just a hot stretch. Maybe the shots are falling, maybe defenses will adjust. But that explanation falls apart fast because hot streaks do not look like this. Hot streaks come with volatility. They come with bad shots that happen to go in. This is the opposite. Everything he is doing looks repeatable. Calculated, almost boring in how consistent it is. Mid-range pull-ups at the same spot. Drives that collapse the defense at the same angle. Fouls drawn at the exact moment defenders lose balance. It is not randomness, it is precision. And that is where it starts to feel uncomfortable for the rest of the league. Because if this is not luck, then what is it? And more importantly, if it is real, how do you stop it? That is where things get even more dangerous. Because teams are not just failing, they are trying everything. Different defenders, different schemes, different levels of aggression, nothing is holding. And you can see it in real time. Defenders start pressing too early, then they give space, then they hesitate. That hesitation is everything. Because once a defender hesitates for even half a second, Shai is already gone. Not with speed, with timing, and timing is harder to fix than effort, which leads to the real problem. If effort does not solve it, and schemes do not solve it, then what does? Because right now, it is starting to feel like there is no clean answer. And if that is true, then this is not just a good playoff run. This is something the league might not be ready for. If you're seeing what I am seeing right now, stay with this. Because what comes next is where it stops being impressive and starts becoming a real problem for the entire NBA. So what happens when every adjustment fails, and why do defenders look more confused the longer the series goes? That is where everything starts to break. Because now it is not just about scoring anymore. It is about the fact that every defensive answer creates a new problem. Teams try to pressure him higher. He slows down, not speeds up, slows down. That alone changes everything. Because when a defender expects pace and gets hesitation instead, their balance is gone before the move even starts. So they switch to drop coverage, give him space, protect the paint. That should work, except it does not. Because now he walks into the mid-range. Same spot, same rhythm, same release over and over again. You can see defenders thinking through it in real time. Step up or stay back, commit or recover. And that split second of uncertainty is all he needs. Then teams try the next adjustment, send help early. Force the ball out of his hands, but that creates a different issue. Because now the defense is rotating before the play even develops. And Shai is already reading it. Kick out, swing, attack the closeout. The defense is now reacting to a chain of events they started. And they are always one step late. This is not one system failing. This is every system bending at the same time. And it gets worse because now individual defenders start to break down. Not physically, mentally, you see it in their stance. They are not committing, they are guessing. And guessing against a player like this is the fastest way to lose. Even elite defenders are getting frozen. You watch someone like Luka Doncic try to hold position within the team scheme. It looks solid for a second, then one hesitation move, one slight change of pace, and the entire structure collapses. Same thing happens when bigs try to step up from the paint. Even someone like Nikola Jokic, who anchors one of the smartest defensive systems in the league, he reads the play, he is in position, and it still does not matter because the decision he has to make is already too late. Contest the shot or protect the rim. Either way, Shai has already chosen the outcome. So now the question becomes unavoidable. If pressure does not work, if space does not work, if help does not work, what exactly is left? And this is the moment where most people still miss what is actually happening because they are looking at the moves, the handles, the footwork, the shot making. They think that is the story. It is not. That is just the surface. The real story is something else entirely. And once you see it, everything flips because Shai is not beating defenders with skill alone. He is controlling something much deeper. He is controlling time, not literally. But in terms of how the game is experienced on the court, watch closely. When he drives, he is not rushing. When he pulls up, he is not reacting. He is setting the pace of the possession, and the defender is forced to match it. That is the trap, because NBA defenders are trained to react to speed, angles, and patterns. But Shai removes the pattern. He stretches moments. He pauses when you expect acceleration. He accelerates when you expect a pause. And that breaks timing. And once timing is broken, everything else follows. Balance is gone, positioning is off, help defense is late. This is why everything looks so clean for him. It is not because the defense is bad. It is because the defense is always slightly out of sync, like they are playing at a different frame rate. That is the difference. Most players operate within the flow of the game. Shai manipulates the flow itself, and that changes the entire equation because you cannot scheme against something that is not static. You cannot prepare for timing that changes every possession. This is why the same defender can look elite one possession and completely lost the next. It is not inconsistency, it is disruption, and now the bigger realization starts to hit. This is not a matchup problem. This is not even a team problem. This is a system level problem. The modern NBA defense is built on predictability, on rotations that assume certain decisions, on help schemes that rely on timing windows. Shai is attacking the windows themselves, closing them before they exist, or stretching them until they break. That is why every adjustment feels like it is working for a moment, and then suddenly it is not, because he adapts faster than the system can. So now you have to ask the real question. If the entire defensive structure is built on timing, and he is the one controlling timing, then who is actually in control of the game? And if that answers him, what does that mean for the rest of the league? If you're starting to see this clearly, let me know what you think. Because this is where it stops being about highlights and starts becoming something much bigger, something that does not just affect one series, but the entire way the NBA has to think about defense moving forward. And this is where it becomes undeniable, because once you understand that this is about control of timing, everything else starts lining up. The consistency makes sense. The efficiency makes sense. Even the way defenses keep failing starts to make sense. Look at the sample size now, multiple series. Different opponents, different defensive systems, same outcome. That alone removes the biggest doubt. This is not a hot stretch. Hot streaks fade when the variables change. This is not faded, it is scaled. Against length, he slows the game. Against physical defenders, he shifts angles. Against help defense, he manipulates the rotation before it even begins. And the result is always the same, a clean look, a controlled drive, or a foul drawn exactly when the defender loses balance. Now compare that to other elite players. Stephen Curry bends defenses with gravity. He forces you to guard space you cannot see. LeBron James controls the game with vision and force. He reads everything and overpowers the rest. What Shai is doing sits somewhere different. It is not just gravity. It is not just strength. It is timing layered on top of both. And that is why it feels so hard to answer, because even when you guess right, you are still late. Even when the defense rotates correctly, it is still slightly off. That slight difference is everything at this level. And this is where inevitability starts to take over. Because if there's no clear counter, then the outcome stops feeling uncertain. It starts feeling expected. You can see it in late game situations. The defense knows he is getting the ball. They know where he wants to go. They know the move is coming. And it still happens. Same rhythm, same control, same result. That is not coincidence. That is repeatable dominance. And the scariest part is this. He is not maxed out yet. He is still adding layers, still reading faster, still getting more comfortable controlling entire possessions. So now the projection becomes uncomfortable. If this version of Shai is already bending defenses like this, what happens when he tightens it even more? Because right now there is no archetype defender built to stop this. Not too slow, not too fast, not too aggressive, not too passive. You would need someone who can match his timing perfectly, and that player does not exist yet, which means the burden shifts. Not on one defender, not on one team, on the league itself. Because if one player forces every defense to reconsider how it operates, that is not just dominance, that is disruption. And we have seen this before. Moments where one player shifts the direction of the game, where the league has to adjust after the fact. This feels like one of those moments, not because of volume, not because of highlights, but because of control. So now we come back to the original question. Is it over for the NBA? Not literally. But in terms of how defenses have been working up to this point, it might be closer than people think, because if timing is now the battlefield, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the one controlling it, then every team is playing from behind, and that changes everything. So the real question is not whether this run continues. It is what happens when the league finally realizes what it is dealing with. Do they adapt fast enough? Or are we watching the beginning of a shift that will define the next era? Because this is bigger than one playoff run. This is bigger than one player getting hot. This feels like the start of something the league is not ready for. And if that is true, then what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just did is not the peak. It is the warning. So now I want to know what you think. Is this just dominance at its highest level? Or are we watching the moment the NBA starts to change again? Because if you want to see how this evolves in real time, make sure you are here for what comes next. This story is not finished. It is just getting started.